Yes, guys, bit of a different setup today. Usually I'm in my office reacting to videos and stuff, but today I wanted to do something slightly different. I've been seeing these videos. I've been seeing this person pop up on TikTok. One day she made a video about the diaspora and if we should consider like moving back to Jamaica and how to do it. And it just intrigued me. And you know, when you go on TikTok and you go down a rabbit hole, you start watching all the videos. I start watching all the videos. I'm like, oh, this girl's very smart, very intelligent. And she's also talking about something that's quite dear to me that I never really even thought about. So you might have seen the videos too. I'm with a TikToker. She said, don't call her a TikToker. Bliss, firstly, thank you for having me. Thank you for coming, rather.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you came down. I feel like it was a weird coincidence because obviously I saw the videos, then I saw you at the Black Disney show.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, let me say hello because, yeah, a lot of the stuff you was talking about in the videos, I kind of felt like they resonated with me, and but also it wasn't stuff that I was even really thinking about or was aware of as someone who's part of the diaspora. So yeah, today I just want to kind of, this ain't really a podcast, it's more just sit and have a chat. Kind of share ideas and expand on some of the stuff that you talk about, because I know like on TikTok, you kind of gotta make the videos for TikTok.
And I don't like that.
So yeah, I guess really my first real question that came to mind when I was even asking you to come was more like, what inspired you to even make that initial video that kind of you was talking about, you know, why we should get our passport, how to do it, all that stuff. What inspired that?
So a bit of context. This is something that I've been actively looking into for like the last 7-8 years.
Okay.
But it's a long and short process. So I first went to Jamaica like 7-8 years ago. My family on my mum's side are from Jamaica. So it's my granddad who's born and raised in Jamaica. Then he came over here, had my mum. But my mum didn't have a connection with Jamaica like I do, because once her dad passed, she didn't go. She hasn't been back since maybe over 30 years. So I had to build that relationship myself. And then when I went there, I was like, oh my God, I love it. So then I started to look into how I could potentially live over there, because I never wanted to stay in the UK. And then I realized, okay, I'm eligible to get my citizenship. So then I've been through this process like 5 times now, and I've not been successful yet, but it's because of like the intricacies in the paperwork. But yeah, and I think during that time, just seeing how the UK has been changing and seeing how unhappy a lot of us are. And I don't know, I've never saw myself living here, having a family here, like staying here for the rest of my life. I've always been an island girl. Like my dad's side is from Barbados, so I've always had that island experience. I've considered living in Barbados, but there was something missing, that community aspect. Jamaica is like just the perfect Caribbean island, whereas Barbados doesn't necessarily have the community that I was looking for. So it was an option, but then I found Jamaica. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. So that's kind of where the interest in getting my citizenship. And then also people around me were moving over there, sorting out their papers. So a few of my friends actually do live out there as well.
Okay, so you said a lot there. So I want to dive into some personal questions already, if you don't mind me asking, because you mentioned obviously that your granddad passed away, and that's where your mum kind of lost the connection. So when he passed away, obviously he passed away here, if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, when he came over here.
So she didn't have any connections with any extended family that were back in Jamaica?
No, but my mum is a baby boomer. So back then everything was like papers, and everything is gone now. We've moved houses. So yeah, she lost the connection, and he didn't necessarily have that connection as well. It wasn't as easy for him to communicate with his family back home. And he was young when he came over here.
Right.
So yeah, as time's gone on, I think he probably planned to go back home at some point, but he never got that opportunity to, unfortunately.
So how did you build that connection when you went out there?
So I'm still looking for my family. I don't know any of them.
Okay.
It's very hard. But like I said, I have people out there, expats, and also people who are born and raised in Jamaica. So I kind of was building my own community. And Jamaicans are the nicest people in the world. Like I've experienced firsthand, because I've been stranded. Like Jamaica, whatever you plan to do, And however you plan for your trip to go, it never happens in the way. So I've had like
know about that, boy.
some interesting holidays, but yeah, I just had to put myself out there and build my own community.
Okay, so you're kind of going there and starting from scratch in a way.
Yeah.
Even though you probably got cousins, people there that you don't even know.
I just don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been trying. I know like where my family's from, where he grew up, but it's easy to look for your ancestors. It's harder to look for like descendants because they're like public records. So I know his mom's mom, etc. But it's hard finding like the descendants.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
so
I know.
You mentioned that you've tried multiple times with the passport and stuff like that. So before you told me why it hasn't worked, I think what will be useful, because I don't think a lot of people think about doing it. And then I think once we do think about doing it, we're now thinking, how difficult is it to actually do? So what's the actual process from your knowledge of like how to actually get that passport or citizenship, whatever it may be?
So you have to be eligible. You can either be 2nd gen or 3rd gen. So your mum or dad born in Jamaica or your grandparents born in Jamaica. You'll need to like verify that lineage. So you basically need to verify this person was born in Jamaica and I'm their son, daughter, granddaughter, grandson, whatever. And then you take all the documents to the high commissions, which is the worst place in the world. Getting an appointment is like needle in a haystack. It's very, very hard. And even when you get an appointment, you go there, you're not going to be served on time. But yeah, you go to the high commissions in the UK, take everything, and they basically do it on the spot for you. They used to do citizenship and passport at the same time, but I don't think they do that anymore. The whole process is probably like under either just over 100 or under 2. I can't remember.
Okay.
And then they send the papers to Jamaica, and then you get your citizenship and passport. So it is an easy process. It's just the documentation part, like making sure names are exact. And I've been so many times that people tell me different things. And then I tried in Jamaica and that was like, I can't bothered.
Right.
But yeah, my issue is like names. So my mum had a name change. One of her spellings had 2 N's, one had 1 N.
Jeez.
Then they were like, oh, my granddad's passport's got a rip in it. I need a new one. So there's just so many, it's like little things that they could overlook, but they do make it very hard, in my opinion, because you can see the connection. It's just having your papers like spotless.
So you got to go there with like passport, birth certificate.
Yeah, so you need, off the top of my head, you need your birth certificate. If your parents were married, marriage certificate, whoever you're claiming through. So I'm claiming through my granddad. So I need some sort of ID for him. So I have his passport. I also have his death certificate. I think I have his birth certificate. I don't think I need those though. I have his marriage certificate as well. And yeah, so I basically have to prove my granddad's identity, then my mom's, and then mine.
Okay.
That makes sense.
And do these have to be original documents or can it be just copies?
I think original or like certified copies.
Right.
Yeah. So I can order like a new birth certificate, but it has to be, you obviously can't photocopy your own birth certificate.
Yeah,
just as long as they're like authenticated documents.
And then you got to wait for them to send it to Jamaica.
Yes. That's why people say it's easier in Jamaica. But my thing was, I don't want to go all the way to Jamaica and then I need something in the UK. That's what happened last trip. Went there last June. Took everything it says on the website, but I didn't bring my mom's marriage certificate because she married a Bayesian man. What does it have to do with anything?
Yeah.
Anyways, they were like, I need my mom's marriage certificate. But online, it says and or. So if I'm not going to travel with documents that I don't need. So yeah, you just take anything. Just take everything. You're better off.
Okay. So initially, you mentioned about like obviously not wanting to stay here in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
So was that the primary like motivation of wanting to do it, or was there anything else that was kind of driving you to do it?
Well, yeah, not wanting to stay in the UK, but the reasons why I don't want to stay here, mainly the lifestyle. I mean, the weather plays a big part. I love the sea. I love the island life. I love the food. For me, quality of life is like above everything else. And I think I'm grateful that I was born and raised here, that I have my passport, that I have my British accent, that I was educated here, worked here, because you can kind of go anywhere with that. And I never want to like try and separate myself from my Britishness. But I think using that to my advantage as well, because I think I'd probably have a different life if I was like born and raised in the Caribbean. So, you know, you get to take advantage of arbitrage, you get to work here, earn, and then you can live somewhere else that's like way cheaper. So the goal was always to have stuff here and kind of go anywhere, but it would definitely be Caribbean or Africa. I need the sun, the sea.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay, so there's two things I want to ask you about, but I want to start with like the initial kind of traction you was getting on TikTok with the videos and stuff. Like, what would you say? Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm someone, sometimes I don't even watch the video, I read the comments.
Is it?
Like, I'll watch the video, but I'll be reading the comments to see what people are saying.
Okay.
And what would you say are some of the like common questions or common themes that are popping up? I know the answer, but I've got a rough idea what the answer is. What would you say, in your opinion, when you make videos, what are some of the common themes or questions or concerns people are having regarding moving, getting their passport, all that kind of stuff?
I'll say there was definitely more concerns, which maybe I was a bit naive because maybe I'm just in my own little bubble where everyone I know wants to move to Jamaica or is in the process or lives over there. But there was a lot of like concerns about safety.
Yeah, I knew you was going to say that.
Not only just like the country's safety, but people were bringing their own personal issues like family stuff. Some people were commenting on like the kind of lifestyle you could have, like affordability. But the main one was safety and government. I would say that those were like the top 3 concerns that people had.
So the safety one, yeah, I think the safety one is a big one because everyone talks about that. And
I know, and I get it.
I get it, but I always say, yeah, like, I don't know, maybe because when I go to Jamaica, my family's in the countryside. So when I go, I'm doing country living, bucket bath, everything. That's how when I go there, that's how I live.
Yeah.
And the country obviously can be dangerous as well, but it's kind of relaxed, it's chill. It's not like Kingston where you go there, it's a bit more mad. Like, it's a bit more relaxed. So I don't see the danger. Or I know there is danger, but I just don't really see it.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I feel like it's a little bit kind of like overinflated the way people talk about it.
I agree.
It's not that Jamaica's this, super safe place, but I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be.
No, it's not.
Why do you think that people have this conception like, yo, if I go to Jamaica, I'm going to get robbed, shot, murdered? Like,
true. I mean, statistically, the crime and the danger isn't what people say it is. If we just look at the numbers, even now, like the crime has reduced like over 40% or something. So I think a lot of it is people just Chinese whispers, I would say, and people do experience things firsthand, but I feel like you have to take into account what crimes are being committed. They're not like randomized. A lot of them are to do with family, like just like it is over here. There's like certain areas in the UK where you're not going to go there because you could just be wrong place, wrong time, and more than like you're targeted. I feel like you're targeted more over here, personally speaking. And also the news, the media, that doesn't help. But the people who do tend to like push that narrative, a lot of them haven't actually been to Jamaica.
Right.
A lot of them haven't. And they probably haven't been because they think it is so dangerous. But yeah, I do think it is overinflated, as you said. And I've been to Jamaica multiple times by myself, staying in Kingston multiple times by myself. And I do feel safe, but I'm also, I protect myself. But that's wherever I go. Do you know what I mean? Like,
you stay street smart, innit?
Yeah, of course. And I grew up in Tottenham. So I've just always thought if I can survive in Tottenham, then I can survive anywhere.
Yeah, so like, and then you mentioned the government, like that was another concern.
Yeah,
so
that is
what were people saying in regards to that?
Just like corruption.
Oh, okay.
Mainly corruption, I would say. And just corruption, whether it's like crime, violence, money, the distrust that people have in the government. But same conversations we have over here. I think in Jamaica, sometimes the corruption can be, I guess, more dangerous than over here. But it just depends. I guess organized crime there's a spectrum in it.
Yeah, no, I get you. So in regards to like the diaspora over here and them moving over to Jamaica, is that something that you've seen on your side? That's is it growing? Is there any sort of I guess, is there a specific? Do you know if there's a movement for it in terms of like there's X amount happening every year that are moving back, or like do you know where that's at, or is that something you've looked into, or not really?
I like to look into the numbers. I mean, from what I can see, yeah, definitely. UK and US, I see a lot more people moving back. I see a lot more people from America, but America's bigger and they're closer. So naturally, I see like a lot of people on YouTube and stuff. In the UK, definitely. Because when I was looking into it initially, there was an expat group, and I was a part of that expat group, and these people, but they were older. I found that there was a lot more older people. Well, not like old, like retirement, but maybe like 40s.
Right.
So the younger gen, I think, are now starting to go back home more.
Yeah. And you mentioned in one of your videos, you spoke about Jamaica being a good place to invest. So a big thing, everyone always wants to make money, innit? So if you can kind of have it that way where there's an opportunity to invest and see some fruits from your labor in the future, what are those opportunities that you have seen or that people could look into who are thinking about either going back home to live or going back home to invest in the community?
I mean, property, I would say, has a large tourism market. And now since the hurricane, I feel like loads, specifically healthcare sector, agriculture, those are more in need. And what people don't realize, there's a lot of things hidden in plain sight. So if you go on the government website and look and just search for things, you'll find them. So there are some incentives for people who may want to invest in like agriculture, architecture, and they may have like a grant or something. So I would say definitely the health sector now, property for sure, tourism, whatever that may be, maybe it's like tours or something. And I would say also the stock market in Jamaica, they're really trying to encourage that. There is a scheme where if you have a non-profit, I can't remember it verbatim, but if you have a non-profit, I think if you get a certain amount of funding, then they'll put it on the exchange and people will be able to invest in it through the exchange, and then people will get shares and they'll get dividends, etc. So there are things that are in place to like encourage the economic growth of the country. But I think just look at people who are investing in Jamaica, like foreigners, and just follow the money, as they say.
But are there any barriers to not having citizenship or passport to invest in?
No, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Jamaica is for sale, as they say. So that's why there is so much foreign investment. You do need a TRN, that's it, but you don't have to be Jamaican to get a TRN. So I'm going to try and get my TRN first before I get my citizenship.
Right.
So I can buy, etc.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the downside.
Yeah, because then that leads me to another thing. So when I went to Jamaica, not last year, the year before, and I was driving. My cousin, he's in the army in Jamaica. So I was driving on one of these fresh highways. And I'm chatting to him and I'm like, these roads are brand new. Because I could even smell the roads brand new.
Yes, it's hard,
and then we're chatting, and then he then tells me that the Chinese have a 50-year lease on the tolls for that highway that we was on. And I think I was in the country and I was going to Montego Bay, that's about an hour and a half driving. And he's like, yeah, like they've got a 50-year toll.
That's mental.
They got a 50-year lease on all the toll money to pay back because they're the ones that built some of these highways.
Right.
And I'm like, bro, like, are the Jamaicans, is everyone happy with that? Like, is everyone cool with that? He's like, yeah, some people don't trust the government, but some people are glad for the infrastructure.
Right,
they're glad for the infrastructure.
You got a road.
So, from the outside looking in, how do you feel about the Chinese kind of coming in, buying up a lot of the land and you know?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and because of that, it's like a slave contract. Like 50 years. Imagine paying something. Even though mortgages are like 30 years, that's still long. 50 years. But it's like, who's gonna do it? Because we can, but we don't have like the collective kind of organization to do that. Financially, I feel like if we all came together, we could afford to make like big infrastructural changes. But I mean, yeah, it is sad because I feel like it shouldn't be that way. Jamaica shouldn't be for sale. And sometimes taking the slower, longer route is the best option. But Jamaica, unfortunately, is for sale. So they've taken the quicker route to get to where they need to. Because I don't think it's impossible. I don't think the Chinese help is needed. It's just going to get Jamaica to where it needs to be a lot quicker than it would if it was like
But this is where
slowly
people say,
suffering.
the government's corrupt, because some people think that, the government, getting they're getting paid. They don't mind selling it because certain individuals are getting paid a certain amount of money from the Chinese to let them come in and do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
While they're extracting the resources essentially because they're getting all this toll money.
Yeah.
And everyone's got to use the roads. So,
yeah.
And I'm sure the Chinese aren't going to build it if they're not going to make their money back.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Of course. And this is my thing as well. Like, this will probably touch on this, but the Chinese in Jamaica, they still maintain their Chineseness. They don't completely detach. Like, whatever they make in Jamaica is going back to them. It's not, they may put some money into the country, but as a community, they're still circulating the money back home and, to their families. So, yeah, I think it's kind of on us. That's why I think as the diaspora, we have to be more involved, because if we don't buy it, someone else is going to buy it. So I think that's why you just have to play the game. Like, life is not fair, just play the game.
Yeah. So there's about 600,000 or 700,000 Black Caribbeans in the UK.
Okay.
And there's another 500,000 mixed Caribbeans in the UK, right? So altogether, just about 1 million, yeah? What 1 million, what do you think, what could the diaspora be doing, in your opinion, to help more? Obviously, we just had the hurricane, and we'll get into that in a bit more depth, but in general, even before the hurricane that happened, what do you think we could be doing more to invest? Obviously, not that 1 million is not all Jamaicans, but let's just say half of it was Jamaicans. What could the diaspora be doing more so to kind of help Jamaica, or lay down the foundation, invest? What are some of the practical things, in your opinion?
I think, firstly, educating ourselves. I think a lot of us don't actually know the history of Jamaica, of the Caribbean islands. Even for me personally, when I first started to get into my ancestry and knowledge of self, I kind of went straight to Africa, and now I'm kind of working backwards and looking into the Caribbean history. So I think really understanding how Jamaica came about, and why Jamaican people are the way they are. I think that's a start to kind of get that self-identity. And I feel like you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you're from. And then I think going back home and not just going there to party, holidays, being immersed in the culture, doing volunteering, speaking to working professionals, speaking to people who are actually outside of your family. Because a lot of people just go and they stay in their community. Yeah. What else? I feel like they're the main two things to do. And then the monetary side. So buying property, investing in small businesses out there, even connecting with the youth, maybe offering mentorship.
But you see the property thing, yeah?
Like what?
When you go to Jamaica, what's one thing you see when you go to Jamaica?
Oh, what, half-built houses?
There's about 1 million half-built houses.
Yeah, but you don't have to buy. You don't have to build. I feel like everyone just assumes, when I go home, I'm going to build. You don't have to build. You can buy one of the pretty developments. And I don't like new builds. But I would invest in a development property in the Caribbean. I would. It makes sense. And it's affordable compared to here.
Yeah.
So you don't have to build. You can build your dream home, but I would say get an investment property. Buy a house that's already built.
Okay.
That you don't want stress.
So you're not doing my cousin's going to build it. You get there, it ain't even done yet.
No,
you
don't have to. I would be able to figure it out, but I think the easiest option, just to get on a ladder, just to get, dip your toe in, just buy something that's already built. Even if it needs refurbishing and you can kind of monitor it, but I would say buy something that's already built. And someone else is going to buy it if we don't buy it.
Right, that's
true.
That's
get
true.
a piece of the pie.
But I think that puts people off though.
Yeah, it
And the amount
does.
of horror stories I hear, oh, you know, I've been giving so and so money every year. I go back, nothing's built yet. Da, 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 da. What they doing? They're namming my money, blah blah blah. And I'm like,
Yeah, but are people doing their research? Are they doing their due diligence? Like, a lot of the time they're not. It's just someone that knows, and they're trying to do the cheapest option as well.
Yeah, I think if you're not, I think it's harder if you're not there though.
Yeah, 100%. I see a lot of people struggle, but yeah, you have to be able to go back or have like a solid team, and that seems to be a rarity.
Yeah.
But then just buy somewhere that's already built, reputable, ask loads of questions, lawyers, etc. Make sure you do it right.
Yeah. Okay. So, in terms of sticking with like your social stuff at the minute, then like the TikTok side of things, obviously the videos that you were making, you know, they're gaining quite a bit of popularity. Then I saw you had a video just about how like the hurricane kind of knocked you back a little bit in terms of making content and stuff. So obviously the hurricane was quite devastating. Like my family, my nanny lost her roof. Like still yards will mash up. So my auntie's going there next week. We're trying to send as much for putting 3 barrels together, all that kind of stuff. So from the effects of the hurricane, like what are some of the things that you've kind of looked into in terms of being able to get support over to Jamaica, like from reputable, safe places? Because, you know, we've already seen some videos of like how people are taking things from the port and all that kind of stuff, and from the airport. So like, what are some of the places that you're looking at to support and stuff like that at the minute?
So there's so many. There's so many organizations. Some of my friends have started their own like little donation drives. One of my friends, Ukela, she started like a mother and baby drive. So she's actually sending stuff back home to mothers and children. She was one herself in Jamaica. She's Jamaican. There are so many. I can give you some links, but yeah, I think definitely making sure that not only on this side the person is trustworthy, but also like you need to know, okay, how is it getting distributed on the other side? I know a lot of people are collecting stuff and then they're sending it to Food for the Poor. That's the largest charity in Jamaica. And so they have the means. So like I would say worst case scenario, just get in contact with them and send it to them, because they can get things distributed safely. And yeah, it kind of avoids any other like, are they taking it, or that, you know, it kind of avoids that. But I know that is something that has been happening, unfortunately. But this is what happens when people don't have resources.
Yeah. And you know, I always think that I think Black people in general, like I think we're the strongest willed people. Yeah.
We are indeed.
In general, like Africans, Jamaicans, whatever. Also the country's gonna build back, but I guess I haven't really read into it too much in terms of like you know, what needs to be done. But from what you've kind of looked into and what you've observed, how big of a blow, like from all standpoints, has this hurricane been in terms of, you know, just the progress of the country overall? Like,
I think if I'm remembering correctly, I was watching a kind of like an overview of everything, and I think it took them from Beryl. I think they recovered, I guess, like by economic productivity standards, maybe like 6 months or quarter. I can't remember exactly, but it wasn't as long as I expected. But I think this hurricane is said to be, I think, almost 30 times worse than Beryl. So I don't think people really understand how long it's going to take. And it's quite confusing because Kingston now is just operating normally. Like my friends out there, I see their snaps, you wouldn't think anything of it. But the other parts of the island are still in complete devastation. And I feel like one of the biggest concerns now is health and diseases and things like that. I just saw a post the other day about this new breed of mosquito that was found in Jamaica. So I think that side of things is a very, very big concern. And I think it's probably going to take years, to be honest, to get back to where they were, because it was on such like a good like growth trajectory. Yeah, it's so sad. I feel like it was just about to really kind of like hit its peak, even in terms of investment. It was raising an investment grade. So it was like in a great place, and now it's kind of like it's just been paused. It's not completely over, of course not, but it leaves room for more people to take more piece of the pie.
Yeah.
Before we started, I just saw something about Saudi as well.
Want to invest in Jamaica?
Yeah. So, and now Bill Gates, I think he's over there. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, like, if somebody has to do it, and I know people were saying like, nobody sell your land, nobody sell your houses, but people are going to be doing that. Realistically, they are. And who's going to buy them?
So
the foreign investment.
That leads me to the conspiracy theories. Because I know, have you seen the conspiracy theory?
Yeah, it's about the smart city.
Yeah.
Which I get, but I'm saying if people, I already knew this.
Okay.
Because it was something, if you look online, Vision 2030, but people are making it like exclusive to Jamaica. Every country has this agenda for the next 4 years. We all know there's like this digital movement. We all know we're in the tech age. So that's not a secret. So I do think it's been like sensationalized. But whether or not I think it's like been orchestrated, I do think we have to definitely talk about like the climate and the fact that the hurricane was so impactful, because it shouldn't have been that. But I don't think Andrew Holness has sat there and planned for the hurricane to hit St. Helens, and I don't think it was like that. But I mean, yeah, these things were already kind of in plan. I just think now it's easier to expedite certain things, which, good or bad,
okay, so you're not
discretion.
saying, so you're not buying into the full conspiracy.
No, because I've been looking into it, innit? So I'm just like, yeah, but you lot would know this already. If you did, would you be calling it a conspiracy?
Yeah.
I think the conspiracy is about the messing with the environment and how, you know, the fossil fuels and how these things impact the Caribbean the most. I think that's where the conspiracy comes from, not Andrew Holness.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Personally, but, you know, I'm open.
That's fair.
What do you think?
So...
yeah, they conspired.
I think there's always an agenda in it. So
yeah, I agree with that.
I guess it's not really a conspiracy theory, because in some ways there's legitimacy to the arguments that this is taking place. So it's not really a conspiracy theory. It's already kind of true. It's just that, you know, we're just seeing it happen. So kind of like you said, if you weren't looking into it already, you wouldn't know. You would see it as a conspiracy theory, when really all these little things, they were already kind of taking place.
It's going to happen.
And it's going to happen, yeah.
Regardless.
There's a global movement now to, you know, get rid of money, make sure everyone's got an electric car, Like, there's already these global things taking place. So whether it's happening in the West first and then it's going to creep into the other countries, like, it's going to happen because you've got a few global superpowers that pretty much dictate what everyone else does to some degree.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a conspiracy theory, but it's happening, isn't it? Like, let's just
something to chat about.
Exactly. Okay, cool. So I want to kind of move pace a little bit, because I think that there's some conversations that I've been having, and a lot of the stuff that I like to talk about is just around the Black Caribbean people that are in the UK and improving kind of where we're sat in this country, right? Because I think that's obviously it's quite an important aspect of us as people. So I was having a conversation yesterday, actually, in another podcast, and I was talking about how Black Caribbean boys, about less than half passed their English and Maths GCSEs.
That's sad.
And over 60% over 60% of Black Caribbean boys and girls grow up in a single parent household.
Sorry to cut you.
Go ahead.
What year are these stats? Are they like
be the 2021 census?
So Gen Z.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
So yeah, and we was having this conversation, and then also Black Britons, so this is African and Caribbeans, are the most likely to grow up in poverty, child poverty. So I was having this conversation, and the guys actually said to me, it's interesting because when he looks at America, the data's like Black Caribbeans are actually thriving. So between then and now, I haven't had a chance to look into it myself, but I'm sure the guy's quite well versed. I'm sure he wasn't lying to me. But what I wanted to ask you is, what do you think, kind of, in your opinion, what do you see as some of like the reasons why Black Caribbean boys specifically, because Black Caribbean girls are outperforming Black Caribbean boys.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think are some of the reasons that Black Caribbean boys are not doing so well from an academic standpoint?
Mm-hmm.
And do you think, because I have my theories, do you think, how much of an effect do you think it has to do with the generation before us, as in the people that have just come, so the first generation and second gen as well, actually?
So earlier you asked me about the comments. That was one of them. People were saying the Caribbeans over here are broke. The ones in America are, a bit more comfortable. But I think here, if we're talking about like working class, if I'm thinking of like a first gen that's coming over here, or second gen that's raised here, I think the assimilation is different. Like, you come over here, from what I know, people kind of get molded into the system, like learning how the system works. So learning that you can get benefits, learning what you can get for free, and really avoiding, I guess, like further education. I also think maybe the concentration of like gang culture as well. So if I'm thinking of like someone that's come over here and then they go into like Tottenham or like certain areas in South, well, what are the odds? Look at the patterns. That may not be as prevalent in the US, or it may just be like at least more spread out. I think as well, if they are coming from single parent homes, from what I know and what I've seen, Jamaican moms specifically are very kind of hustle orientated, and they may not even have that education and professional experience, etc. But I think it all boils down to like the Caribbean family structures and what has kind of happened to them. Because like we said earlier, it hasn't always been like that. It has been mom, dad, child, nuclear family. But I think the breakdown of that has really been a detriment to like the development of the young people. So I would say, yeah, a combination of all of those things.
Do you think it's a cultural thing though? Because some people,
as in a British culture?
No, as in
like British or Caribbean?
Caribbean culture, yeah.
No, I don't, because I think back home, I would say it's a lot more strict. Like at least finishing school, like secondary school and passing, I would say that is a lot more strict, especially because the country's foundation is like Christian values, and you have to pay for school as well. So if I'm paying for you to go to school, you're going to go to school. Whereas here, things are free. It's not as, like, I feel like you can work the system more here, from what I know, than back home.
Right.
So no, I don't think it's Caribbean culture. I think it's British Caribbean culture.
Right. So you think so this is, I think, like the mixture of the Caribbean culture and assimilating to the British culture kind of creates like I don't know what it creates, but it creates something that makes the young people not do as well. Something about that mixture of the British culture and the Caribbean culture together kind of just there's a reason within that why these boys and some girls are not doing as well in school.
Yes, and I think there's a difference between first gen, second gen, and third gen.
Right.
So it'll be interesting, like, to really kind of dig deep into those stats and see, okay, is it first gen, second gen, third gen? Because I feel like we all have different experiences as well, and our proximity to culture is a lot different. And I think, generally speaking, like Caribbean born, so people that are born here then come over, I feel like there is a bit of a different kind of hustle and tenacity, especially if they've lived out there for quite some time. Versus here, I feel like we can be a bit laid back and a bit lazy, but because of that safety net. If we never had it, like, they don't have it like that in the US. Here, it's a lot easier to just get into the system,
right.
Especially if you're coming over here. You know the story, they come over here, they get with a white woman,
Yeah.
They're not, they stay home, they cook. Like, it's easy.
Right.
And if you're coming from the ghetto, like,
yeah,
good life.
So I say, I think a lot of it is to do with men. Yeah. And the reason I say this is, if we know that we know that about 60% or so of Black Caribbean boys and girls grow up in a single parent household, a fatherless home, usually 9 times out of 10. About 80 to 90% of the time, it's going to be a single mother, not a single father, right? So, like you just said, a lot of Caribbean mothers are quite, they'll work, they'll do all the roles,
they're the
right?
hustlers,
They're playing mum and dad. So, I think that a lot of it is down to the men not really, they're not doing what they need to do.
Oh, it's still Peter Pan syndrome. Literally. And it's so bad. Sorry to cut you, but now I'm thinking about it, like, even in like dancehall culture, but you look at some of like the biggest artists, how many children they have, and this is, I think, because if we look at African households, marriage, education, job, yes, those conversations happen in our culture, but how strict are those conversations?
But this is where I get confused, because I think Jamaicans are very conservative though. They
are, but
when we get here, it changes though.
Yeah, but you're a good example. I don't think an African boy would be allowed to kind of do what you're doing. I feel like even when they get to a big age, there's still kind of that fear, like, okay, at least I need to get my master's and then I can kind of do what I want. Whereas, you're freelance, you do it, you're self-employed. I don't think people, they get so like indoctrinated. I don't think they see that as an option. Because even when you go into like high positions now in the workplace, the Black people are typically African, typically Nigerian. So I do agree with the conservativeness, but I feel like it's mainly just marriage.
Right.
I don't know if it's like uni, masters, professional, you need to be this.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think we're too laid back?
Yeah, I do. And I don't know. I don't think all, don't get me wrong, but I feel like there's definitely a difference in ambition.
Right.
With like African households. Because look at the richest man in the world.
But this is why I'm going to go back to the men, because it's the men. Because, okay, 60%, I've mentioned that, 40% when it comes to Black Africans, right? 40% of Black Africans are in fatherless homes. So there's about a 20% difference. And I think men, whether it's men that have come from Jamaica or second-gen Caribbean men, right? They're having kids out of wedlock. And then they're gallivanting and doing their business. Now, that means that the mother now has to look after a child. She has to work. She has to come back, cook and clean. She then has to, obviously, that's one. And also, there's one income going into the house. She might have 2 kids, 3 kids, whatever. Everyone that's living in England knows, one income can only stretch so far. Some of the men, they'll contribute where they can, but let's be honest, a lot of them aren't. So now, statistically, if a child, like, it's just a fact. Statistically, in every single outcome, your chances of success decrease when you come from a single parent household. Like, it's just a fact. So I'm not saying that having 2 parents means you're going to have a perfect life as a child, but it's going to increase your chances. And the whole point of this is we want to increase our chance of success as human beings. So when the men are leaving the home at such an alarming rate, we're shooting ourselves in the foot, because we're not even giving our children the best opportunity to do well in the first place. Because if I'm a kid and I ain't got money for shoes, I can't get a school bag, or my school bag's mash up, and I got to wear old clothes or whatever, like, I'm not going to do well in school anyway. And then I'm missing out on opportunities. And then one thing about boys is boys need, like, a mother's a mother, innit? But we have to be real. Men and women are different. Like, the way that you would parent is different to how I would parent. Like, and 100%. The way that the child views me as an authority is going to be different to the way he views you. So when you're a child and you ain't got an authority figure in the house, your mum's an authority figure. I grew up in a single parent home. My mum's an authority figure. But as soon as I'm old enough to look at her, she can't hurt me. And I'm just like, all right, cool. Like, your mum's in it. Luckily, I had an older brother who's like 12 older than me. So I still had a male in the house. But there's also now, the kid might be struggling. There's only a single mum. He ain't got no authority figures. He don't see no Black people, like Black male teachers in school, really. There are a few, but there's not a lot. Who's he turning to? And then that's how the cycle happens. So the more that I look into this kind of stuff, I always think that it really does boil down to, like, men.
Yeah.
It's like, if they can, if we can just stick around, or just don't have kids. If you can't handle it, don't have kids.
I mean, that's hard to tell a Jamaican man not to have children. That's unfortunately, that's very hard. But whilst you're saying that, I'm thinking, okay, I'm trying to look back. Because do you know what just came into my head? The Caribbean is Christian, very conservative generally. But if we're comparing, like, I'm just thinking of Nigeria, I'm not thinking of the whole of Africa. I mean, I feel like they have closer ties to the actual culture, like, that's been passed down, like traditions, etc. But Nigeria specifically, well, it's a Muslim country, right? They have like a really large Muslim community.
They've got a big Muslim community.
Is that the leading?
I think it's still Christianity.
Is it?
But,
it's okay. And I feel like maybe religion in that capacity maybe come into play, because I feel like Muslim values are a lot stronger sometimes. I feel like the practicality of Islam is more evident than Christianity. I feel like sometimes there's a bit more flexibility. So maybe that could also play into a part, especially if he's from like a Muslim home, even if he's not like practicing. But again, there's that like instilled kind of like fear of disappointment and going against the culture, because they're very strict. If their mum says you're not going to marry this person, a lot of the time they won't.
Not, yeah.
Or you have to bring this woman home. So they'll go out and play, but this woman has to be your wife. And there's like, it may be a fear, but also it's like an understanding of the culture and what you're doing, what you're passing on, who you're going to bring into the world, like your lineage. I feel like there's more of like an appreciation in that regard. It may not go for all people, but that's something that I just thought of. Because I thought, why is there not that kind of like, I guess, proudness or, in Caribbean men generally to kind of continue culture and be honorable in that way?
Yeah. But the thing is, I think there's two reasons. Because I don't necessarily think that Muslims are stricter. I think because Christianity is the primary religion in Western society, so let's just say UK and US, there's a lot of stuff going on around like media and culture that is diluting Christianity. I think Christianity is just as strict as Islam.
Yeah.
However, Islam doesn't originate from the West, or it's not the prominent religion in the UK and the US. And if we look at what's happening culturally in the UK and US, it's becoming more of a secular society, especially in the UK. So it's becoming more secular, which means that they're allowing a lot more passes for certain things that are not really Christian, but they're manipulating the word to make it seem like it's Christian, or to try and make it fit in so everyone can do kumbaya. When really, whereas Islam, they kind of stand on business. They're not really, you go to Saudi, you go to Dubai, certain things aren't running like the way that the tolerance is a lot lower compared to. So then I think that makes the UK a lot more secular. So the religion aspect is different. And then the other thing is that I'll say the difference between West Africa and the Caribbean is that obviously West Africa, a lot of it was colonized by Britain. And obviously the history with slavery in the Caribbean, sugar farming, all that kind of stuff. But I think that the British had a much heavier presence in the Caribbean from the 1800s, 1700s compared to Nigeria or Ghana, for example. So because of that presence, we as a people have already been mixing with British people from back then.
Yeah.
So our culture is actually kind of heavily derived from British culture.
It's like a subculture. Yeah.
It's derived from British culture from hundreds of years already compared to West Africa, where obviously it was colonized, and there was a presence, but not to the degree in which the Caribbean experienced. So I think that a lot of our culture is already aligned with British people. So like when the Windrush era got here, obviously they faced crazy challenges, but they kind of they understood British people a bit more than West Africans. So, because like when West Africans come here, they're more likely to stick together, and whereas we'll mix with them. That's why you mentioned it about they'll come and get a white woman. When you look at the statistics of interracial dating, Black Caribbean men, out of all the black male, out of all the sub-black male ethnicities or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
we're the highest to date outside of our race. Whereas Black African men are more likely to stay within their race.
To date or marry?
To marry.
Okay.
So Black Caribbean men, we have the highest percentage of marrying outside of our race versus Black African men. They're way more likely to stay within their race. But I think that's down to Black Caribbean men being a bit more assimilated to the culture. And then to flip that again, also Black Caribbean women, they're like 80, I think it's like 90% more likely to marry within their own race.
Right.
Like they're less likely to go marry a white man.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think Black men feel that. They don't feel pressure. I don't know if pressure is the right word to say, but they don't feel that obligation to be like, I've got to marry a Black woman.
Yeah, they don't. Whereas I tend to find African men are more like, I want, even dating outside their culture is like, I'd rather just, an African woman who's from my country, from my tribe. Whereas Caribbean men, don't date anybody. Don't date anybody.
Yeah.
But also, I think on the women as well, like, what are we requiring? I guess maybe where our expectations are a lot lower when it comes to Caribbean men, because maybe that's not a requirement because we don't expect it, like in terms of like marriage and stuff. If they're kind of already, we think they're just out here and not looking for marriage. But if there's like another woman, white, Asian, whatever, it's just like, well, you need to marry me.
People that say Black Caribbean men, they don't want to get married, or they're less likely to get married.
I don't think so. Not as many. I don't think so. I don't think that's like a conversation a lot of the time. But I think it just stems from your upbringing. I think that people don't mind, but I don't think they value marriage in the same way.
You don't think Black Caribbean men value marriage?
In the same, Black British Caribbean. I don't think so. I don't think they'd mind. Generally speaking, I don't think they mind if they never get married. Not that they want to be lonely, but I don't think they mind if like we have a relationship and we never get to marriage.
Right. So like they don't care about getting married. Like they don't.
I think. I think they would, but I don't think it's like.
Yeah, but that's what people say. Like
end all
Black
be all.
Caribbean men don't care about getting married.
Yeah.
But why do you think that is?
I think it's lack of representation, I would say. And if they don't really come from that, and if they have and they've seen that it's been a disaster or it hasn't worked in their favor, especially nowadays, there's a lot of talk online that marriage just is not gonna, it doesn't work in the man's favor. The man's gonna end up, worse off, which I have seen personally. So it's not that that's not true, but I don't think that should deter you from getting married. I feel like it should just make you want to choose better and have a bit more discernment. But I think as well, most women want to get married because of just that fairy tale, right? Not because of like strong Christian beliefs or strong religious beliefs. We all want to get married from Disney. So it's not that our reasons are like extremely valid. It's just we've been sold the fairy tale a bit harder than the men, which is, if you ask them why they want to get married, most of them just want to have a ring and a big party, which is fair enough. And they want the title of being a wife, like that says something socially. So our reasons may be like trivial if we actually look into it. So maybe both sides don't actually value marriage that much.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you to shift a little more that way so the camera can pick you up. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's funny and interesting because I'll say the same thing, especially around like the reasons why people want to get married, especially I was saying we've become a lot more of a secular society. So the religious reasons are not as prominent. I think because, people want to have the wedding, they want to have the dress. Yeah, like why would you though? They want to post this picture with the ring on. They want to do that snap on IG.
Exactly.
And I get that.
And to say you're a wife, that's an accomplishment.
Why though? Why is that an accomplishment?
Because of everything that I said, like what it means socially, just the brainwashing, I guess, that we've had. Like nobody wants to be a girlfriend for the rest of their life. Right. People would find that embarrassing. Even if you're engaged for like too long, people are like, what's going on here? Yeah, like why are you look at Cassie, like people are like they were engaged for no, she was a girlfriend
for years.
That doesn't make sense. Yeah. But it's like, but why?
Okay, why doesn't it make this is the thing, yeah? we're kind of going in a different direction, but
I know.
I always think there's a lot of structures and a lot of things that we follow and we believe, and no one questions like, why do we do this? Because if you look at the history of marriage, there's a book, and I should have put this in my notes. There's a book about the history of marriage, essentially, and one of the pillars previously was really just to bring tribes together so we could expand land. It wasn't about love. The romanticism of marriage really only came within the last 150 years or so. It wasn't about love before. It was literally, your family's got this, my family's got this, let's get together, we're going to expand our empire, basically. It's only been about love in the last 150 years. Since that transition to love and I guess the way that modern society is, there's been less of a I guess critical look into like why people are getting married.
Yeah.
You know, if you told me you want to get married just because it's what I've wanted since a kid and that's what I saw on Disney, I'm like, that's not a real reason. Like to me, that's not a real reason.
Of course it's not.
And it doesn't mean that you're wrong for wanting that. Everyone has goals, but I don't think that if we actually look at why do we need to sign this document and have this, ceremony? Like, what's the real reason? Who told us to do this? Like,
right, yeah.
Like, is this the only way that we're supposed to do things? And it's not that I'm against marriage, because, I think a lot of people think that men don't want to get married or men are scared of getting married. I don't think so. I think, people talk about the 40% end in divorce, but then if you look at it in reverse, 60% are successful. Right? So it works for people. I think that, you got to do it if it's right for you, if the timing's right, blah, blah, blah. But, there's something I was going to say. That's not what I was going to say, but now it's escaped me.
But also people didn't want to have bastard children as well. Because I wonder where that came from. Because nobody wants to have a bastard child. But I think, I agree. And your attitude is basically, it just proves my point that Caribbean men don't mind.
That was what I was going to say.
Okay.
And regarding the Caribbean men thing, someone said to me, because I was having this conversation, and they said to me that the reason that a lot of Black Caribbean men don't want to get married is because they're already so self-sufficient. Like a lot of Black Caribbean men, they can cook.
They can.
They're quite good with their hands in terms of like they can do handyman stuff. They don't feel like they need a woman in their life because they feel like they can do everything themselves anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like,
So it's
like, why do I need to get married? If you don't want to be with me, I can still look after myself anyway.
Yeah.
A lot of Black Caribbean men are quite self-sufficient. So it's kind of like they don't feel like,
they don't need a wife
to do everything for them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
they'll still have a woman.
They'll still have a woman, but
and baby moms. But the wife part is like, all that stress for what?
And I think that deters them from marriage, because it's like, what's the point? I can already do it. Whereas some African men
can't cook.
They can't cook.
Can't
they
clean.
can't even wash their own clothes.
They can make money though, but
they're very smart, academic. They make bread, but they don't have like the hard skills. Or the soft skills. The hard skills, soft skills, whatever the term is.
But that's how they were raised, because they were raised to find a wife
that will do it for them.
Right.
So that's one of the cultural differences between, and I've got a lot of West African friends, and that's like where we diverge. Like,
yes,
there's men that don't know how to turn on the washing machine.
Yes,
and wash their own socks.
That's scary for me.
Whereas, and that's not everyone, of course, we're generalizing, but in order to have discourse, I feel like you have to generalize sometimes. So I feel like that's one of the areas where we kind of go in different directions, because it's
100%.
Caribbean men are just
but that's and that's what I like about Caribbean men, that they can cook and they can clean, because a lot of women want men that are clean as well.
Right.
And I think that's where the conversation is like, for me personally, I'll never date outside my race. I consider dating outside my culture, but that would be a big thing for me. Like, I think sticking within my culture would be the best thing, because you have to cook. Like, you have to be able to cook, because I like to cook, and you have to be able to clean. Like, and that's one thing I will say about Jamaican men. They can cook and they are very, very clean, generally speaking. But also, I think it is a lot of the time men that are born over there. I don't think a lot of British Jamaican men
can do it. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But again, that's why I say something happens to Caribbean people when
just get lazy.
We come here. When we come here and we mix with the British culture, something happens. Like, it changes us.
Yeah, it does.
It definitely does something to us. Cool. So, like, I think there's overall, I think, I'm glad we had this conversation. There's a lot that I think we kind of covered. There's a lot of ground we covered. I think there's some conversations that I think people are going to have a lot of comments on. But yeah, I think so. I'd love to ask you just a few more questions just around what you want to try and do, even just in regards to like your social media and kind of continuing to encourage the diaspora to look back into Jamaica. So like, what is it that you would like to keep continuing to push in terms of the message over the next couple of years in regards to what you're putting out?
Definitely to go back home, whatever home is for you. I think that's important, to keep your options open and use the fact that you are British to your advantage. Like and I think that's something that we can feel insecure about in a way, like going back home. We don't sound like the people, we haven't had the same upbringing as, the people back home. But I love the fact that I was born and raised here. Obviously, I'd like to, would have liked to have experienced some of my childhood in the Caribbean, but I had a great childhood over here, and I would never want to, discredit that. So I think using that to your advantage and investing back home. If you're someone that's like trying to get on the property ladder here and you're struggling, you don't need to buy here. Go and buy back home. It's going to be easier and it's going to be cheaper. And yeah, I would say make an effort to connect with other members of the diaspora, go to events. There's always events happening. Get involved in a community, do some volunteering back home and here as well. Because if we don't, somebody else is. Like I said, Jamaica's for sale, so anybody can go over there.
And the event side of things, is that something that you try to do a lot? Obviously, I met you at an event. So.
Yeah, I do love an event. There's quite a few Jamaica-centric ones I've been to. But yeah, always look, because that's just where you're going to meet people. Yeah. And if you're looking, you will find. So yeah, I do love an event.
Cool. And where can the people follow you?
On TikTok, Blissful's Perspective with 1 L, and Instagram, Blissful's Perspective, 1 L, same thing.
Wicked. Thank you very much again. Appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Peace.